It's time to get real serious. I showed up in a suit and everything today because, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk about tier list. And specifically, a tier list on the current ascended characters in Global. Let's start with the boy Ainz. Now, Ainz is one of my favorite ascended characters in the entire game. Ever since I got him, I've used him quite a bit. Like, I love everything about him, from the arch gen to the crit damage buff. Even the animations I really do enjoy. And he's just like a really fun character to use. However, that doesn't mean that he's like perfect in any way, shape, or form. A lot of his animations are very lengthy. He is somewhat reliant on being on mostly a demon team, but he doesn't have to be on a demon team. But if you are on a demon team, it makes him a little bit better. Also, his crit damage buff is good, but it only takes full effect if you're a dark unit, which does kind of suck because he only gives 100% crit damage up to everyone on the team if you're any other element. But if you're a dark unit, you get, isn't it 200% crit damage, if I'm not mistaken? Which is good if you're a dark unit, but if you're not a dark unit, you know what I mean? So for Ainz, I would say Ainz starts us out in a straight A tier character. Albedo is, I'm gonna be honest, Albedo, in my opinion, is kind of like, I wouldn't say she's necessarily good, but she's definitely not the worst. I think I would rest Albedo in B tier, and here's why. So Albedo is all about damage mitigation. She has a lot of stuff in the kit that offers a lot of damage mitigation instantaneously for a few seconds. Like, for example, with the super art, if I'm not mistaken, is the super art? Yeah, I think it is the super art that gives you like crazy amounts of DR for like 10 seconds. And then she has the art that's able to stack damage res, and I think it's physical res as well. Or no, it's damage up and physical res or something like that with the art for demon characters, which is pretty good too, but it's still like not that great. And I feel like that she got unfortunately power crept by another ascended character. And like, I have not seen an Albedo be used in a situation where like Sandstone wouldn't be used, because Sandstone is just, for one, a cheaper alternative, and in terms of damage mitigation, she's just overall better because she's not constrained to such a small timer on her buffs. So yeah, I would say Albedo's like a B tier. I could even see arguably a C tier because her nuking isn't that good either. Chobei. Now, Chobei is actually not on Global yet at the time you're recording this video. He's going to be coming out in 3 days at this point. I've seen a lot of gameplay. I've looked over his kit quite a bit, and I would say Chobei is going to be a solid B tier character, possibly A tier, because he's mainly an attacker slash breaker. Actually, no, you know what? No, I would put him at the top of B tier. The reason why is because he is an attacker slash breaker, but he's mainly going to be used for his damage and stuff, which his damage is not going to last that long in terms of longevity. A lot of characters are going to be coming out that are just overall stronger and just better in terms of dealing damage, but in terms of breaking, from what I've seen, he's just like one of the best characters in the game. And then once he finally does break somebody, he just does crazy amounts of DPS. His stacking mechanics are just so good, and he has 100% defense ignore. You know what? He has a lot of stuff going for him that's just built into the kit, so you don't even need to like really do much with him. Just give him some support characters and he's gone. So we're going to put him in A tier. Chloe. Now, Chloe is a character that relies on breaking bosses, or other characters breaking bosses. If she or somebody on her team breaks a boss, she gives everyone on her team 200 art gauge instantaneously, so everybody can go off with their true arts, or maybe even have a super art at that point if you already have a little bit of art gen before that. She has fire resist downs in her kit. She has break power up. She's able to refill your art gauge. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Some people say Chloe is not that good, but I don't see how you can say that, man. She's in the type E arch-gen, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So she's able to stack with pretty much every other arch-gener in the game. And yeah, she's great. Like, in terms of a support character, if you're not even using her just as a breaker, if you just need like another arch-gener on the team and you don't have anyone else, but you have Chloe and let's say you have like Haruto, you can literally put them on the team and those are your two arch-geners for life at that point, right? Chloe is a solid A tier character. My newest boy, Gabby Maru. I love Gabby. I really do. The thing is about Gabby is that he's really just a nuker, so I'm gonna put him at the top of B tier. With the crit chance buff that he gives to the team, along with the fire damage buff as well, it's not like it's bad or anything. It's very, very good, and he's very strong. He does insane amounts of DPS, but that's kind of like the extent of it. Whenever you only do damage and you're not offering really anything else for the team, it's really hard to recommend or say that you're like one of the best characters in the game, unless like your damage is so stupidly high, like you are like the best damage dealer. And even then, it's like, okay, how long is this going to last till another character comes along, right? I also feel like Gabby Maru is unfortunately not going to have as much longevity as some of the other characters on this list just because of the way how his kit's set up. He's a critical buffer, he's a crit damage dealer, his main appeal is his damage, and the only thing else that he's offering to the team is a 150% fire damage buff, which may or may not come in handy at times. So yeah, Gabimaru to me is top of B tier. Very good character though. Just because you're in B tier doesn't mean you're bad or anything. He's still an extremely good character, and if you got him, you should use him because I love this character. I really do. Ilya's arguably a GOAT, to be honest. Ilya is arguably in the GOAT tier, but I think I'm gonna put Ilya in A tier. I'm gonna actually put Ilya, I'm gonna rearrange the list like this. Yeah, there we go. So Ilya, I don't think is better than Ainz, or maybe she's on the same level as Ainz, to be honest. She has a lot of stuff in the kit that gives her like just tons of damage, tons of arch gen. She's able to buff up everybody's crit rate, and she also has the crazy nuking in the kit too with the super art. Also her unique passive that gives her 50 art gauge whenever she uses like her art, her true art, or her super art is very good just because it gets her going a little bit faster. The worst part about this character is mainly her slots, but even with those slots, she's still like insanely good. Kirisame. I haven't got to use Kiri really at all yet on my account. I've tried to use him in Summoner's Road, and he definitely does slap in Summoner's Road. But the main issue with Kirisame is that he is reliant on burning the enemy to get the most damage res. But even with that being said, he's still a taunt tank. He offers a lot to the team with his like damage tanking capabilities. He just is overall a crazy tank. I love his animations too, just like the way he is in game. He's just very good. The main issue though is that he's reliant on having his true weapon. His true weapon is what gives him the 100% paralysis and freeze resist, which is something that you're going to want on pretty much every single taunt tank in the game. But I don't like his true weapon. I think his true weapon's kind of sucks a little bit. Like it's on a 40-second cooldown, and it only lasts for 10 seconds, and it gives you like 20% DR and 30% damage up for fire. But like, I don't know. It's good for Kirisame. I'll say that. It's really good for Kirisame, but like just as a tanking item, it's not that great. However, it's an item that you're going to want to have on him pretty much all the time. Arguably top of A tier, maybe a GOAT because he is like one of the first ascended taunt tanks, and taunt tanks have endless amounts of value. And you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna put him in GOAT because a taunt tank has so much value in this game. If you have one, or if you never had one before and you got Kirisame, you would love Kiri because he would just be able to do practically everything for you in terms of like all the content in the game where you would need a taunt tank. I will say he does have the restriction, which isn't really a restriction, but he just needs another human ally on the team in order for you to get his full benefit of his true third eye. But as long as you have one other human ally, which let's be honest here, most of us will, because you're probably going to be using Haruto or some other human character, then you're going to be a-okay. He's going to be fine in that regard, and you're going to be able to tank so much stuff. Gamma's going straight into A tier. Gamma is my girl. I love Gamma, and I didn't get her. Oh, I hate it. So Gamma is all about being kind of more of this nuking support character. And even though we have other characters that came out that kind of help fill this role, especially now since there's another Ascended unit that came out that kind of does a similar thing to her, she still offers a lot. She has 2 support slots, so she's able to hold a lot of different arch-gen equips for you. She also is able to give demon allies 50 arc gauge instantaneously. She's also able to like solo focus a unit on your team to give them crazy amounts of damage ups and also DR, which is pretty freaking good. And she has 100% magic resist down, which helps a lot if you're doing magic nukes or whatever. I did say this character is mainly a nuking character, but she's also fantastic as just a sustained character. With her magic resist buff that she gives on her art, and also the damage res buff she gives on the true art, she's able to work with like taunt tanks and stuff like that really, really well. So overall, I really do enjoy Gamma. She's definitely kind of fallen off a little bit because of the next character we're going to be talking about, but in terms of just being an overall character, still fantastic. Next is Rin, and Rin is, ooh, I'm so close to putting her in GOAT. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm really close to putting Rin in GOAT. Rin is stupid good. If you look at the kit, you would be like, well, she seems good, but she doesn't really seem like super crazy. Like her skill gives fire allies 4 arts per second. Her art is able to reduce the enemy's fire resist if it burns. The true art gives you like damage res down, plus it also gives you burn resist down. And then the super art is where like all the appeal is, because it gives her a massive 150% magic damage buff, plus 100% magic resist down, which unfortunately, as you see, Narburl's super art just got power creep just like that. But this character is so freaking good. And it's not only just because of the kit, it's also because of one of her passives that gives your team so much extra damage. She literally has a passive that every time she burns an enemy, you increase everyone's damage by 30% up to a maximum of 300%. And this character is used in some of the hardest like Crest Palaces because of that. She's used in a lot of different in-game fights like in Summoner's Road just to buff up your damage like crazy if you're using like a magical attacker with her. In terms of like magic damage dealing and stuff, she's one of the best buffers in the game. I will say that if you're using her in sustain though and not really using her as a nuker, she's somewhat reliant on her true weapon. Her true weapon is insanely good on her. But even with that being said, she's definitely up here in the A tier. Arguably, I would want to put her in GOAT because just how good of a magic damage buffer she is. I feel like she kind of deserves it because she's like the definitive magic damage buffer now. But I'm going to just leave her in A tier. The next character, one of the newer additions on Global, Sagiri. Sagiri is actually really good. I'm gonna say Sagiri is A tier. So Sagiri is, I would say, part of the New Age Holy Trinity. So New Age Holy Trinity, for you guys that don't know, is a team that consists of her, War God Finn, and Haruto. Or I would say you could even say like the Holy Duo or whatever you want to call it, the Earth Duo, which is gonna be her and War God Finn. She is a fantastic character for any Earth unit in the game. If you want to buff up your damage with Earth characters, you use Sagiri on the team. She's going to be able to apply like 120% Earth resist down with the super art, buff up their damage like crazy, buffs up her own damage. Not only that, she has the true art that gives everyone archgen and also buffs up their physical res, so it makes everyone tankier. Art is able to give you physical damage buffs and break power up. Giving that break power up and the damage ups and all that is so freaking good. She's actually works great with a lot of different characters that want those stats. And the worst part about her, in my opinion, is her skill and a little bit of her slots. I don't like her slots too much, but it is what it is. The skill just gives her a stackable damage buff, which isn't bad, but you can't really stack it too much. It only lasts for 20 seconds. It's on a 13-second cooldown, so in most situations, you're only going to be having 40% damage up for like a few seconds. And also, her slots, for her to be more of the supporting type character, I would really love the 5-star support here instead of a 5-star physical. But unfortunately, she didn't get that. She has 2 physical slots and a 4-star defense or a 4-star support if you take her all the way up to LB7. She makes up for it a little bit because she's able to give herself a lot of art gauge. She actually gets 6 arts per second as long as she's above 50% or higher HP. I wouldn't say she's better than Rin, maybe. Would I say she's better than Rin? No, I wouldn't say she's better than Rin, but she's definitely better than Gamma and Chobei. And yeah, she is insanely good as a support character, as an archgener, as a Earth character. If you have the other Earth units on the team, she's going to be a staple. I want to say like in future content too, whenever we get more and more Earth characters, and you have Sagiri, you're just going to use this character more and more. Shaltir, let's see what she's doing. Shaltir is a damage dealer too, and because of that, I'm going to put her in B tier. She's just a DPS character. She's not anything crazy, and I would say that arguably she is not weak, but she only does DPS, and that's it. Like, the problem with a lot of ascended damage dealers is that usually, not all the time, they're very selfish. They're not really playing for the team. They just want to be put on a team. You give them support, and they'll kill whatever in front of them. However, in terms of longevity, it doesn't really work out too well because, as you all know, a lot of damage dealers can just get power crept in the blink of an eye. And the fact too that she doesn't actually have super crits does really suck, even though she does have the clone, so she's able to like do tons of DPS like that, but she doesn't offer super crits. And as a lot of critical damage dealers are coming out in the Ascended era, a lot of them just have built-in super crits. Literally, Gabimaru, the one right beside her, has super crit rate in the kit. The new Cilia that just came out has super crit rate in the kit. There are so many characters that are coming out that have super crits that if you're a critical damage dealer now and you don't offer that as an Ascended unit, it's kind of like, why not, right? It feels like you should have it, which is kind of like an unfortunate circumstance, which is probably like a whole nother video, that they're just going to kind of like keep inflating damage till seeing like some straight Puzzles and Dragons numbers, and who knows how long, you know, that will keep people entertained. Still, great character though. I like her. I don't use her too much anymore because I just like using Gabimaru and other characters a little bit better, but still one of the better magic damage attackers in the game. So if you need a magic damage dealer, Shaltir is one of your best ones to turn to. Shiro Emiya, GOAT instantly. Shiro Emiya is so freaking good, man. He has like built-in archgen with the kit. He has damage barriers, damage negation. He's able to reduce enemies' physical resistances. He's able to give himself like tons of attack ups and damage ups. And not to mention too, he has unlimited blade works, which is just a constant stage buff for your entire team and just makes your team so unkillable. It's great. The worst part about Shiro Emiya is that he's only used in in-game content. You don't ever really use Shiro in any other piece of content. I mean, you can, because you actually can use him as a nuker to an extent, or a nuke supporter, since he does have the 100% physical res down on the true art, but he definitely strives the most as being the damage mitigation tank, and he's just fantastic. I love this character so much. I don't actually think he's needed though, because a lot of the times where you can use Shiro, you can use someone like Sandstone instead and still get by just as fine. But the thing is, this boy's Shiro, right? He's the GOAT. I was so worried that whenever this crossover got announced back in the day that they were gonna hold my boy Shiro, but they didn't, man. They made him so freaking good. And yeah, I would say he's better than Kirisame because he doesn't rely on stats effects or anything else, and you can use him in so many pieces of content. Next, War God Finn. GOAT, right? The first Ascended character, I'm going to put him at the top here because that's where he deserves to be. The first Ascended character, and my God, did they start with a bang, right? This guy is so freaking good. Even now, with all these Ascended characters coming out, he's still like the best character in the game. He gives his team so much Archgen passively at the start of the quest. He gives himself a lot of Archgen because of his skill. He has a lot of buffs in his kit that just offers so much for the team, like accuracy, equipment CT recovery. He has a true art that's able to give his team crit rate along with archgenning, and then his super art gives him just tons of super crits, right? There's not really much else you can say about War God Finn. His slots are fantastic. He's just a great character. He's one of the best characters they've ever made in the entire game. And if you missed this unit, I feel kind of bad because you can literally put this guy on practically any team, turn your brain off, and you're able to clear 85, 95% of content in the game. And he's going to be one of the longest lasting units in this game because he offers so much. Miyu, she should have been reviewed a lot earlier because, you know, in terms of like alphabetical, but I think I added these characters last because I realized I didn't have. Miyu is A tier, better than Chobei. I would say arguably she's going to be a GOAT, but the reason why Miyu is just A tier is because she is a damage dealer. However, unlike characters like Gabimaru and Shaltir, Miyu offers a very strong buff, and that buff being 200% damage up to human allies and also a 100% defense ignore to all allies. That's really freaking strong. Not to mention as well, in terms of her own damage, she's able to give herself crazy DPS at the start of the quest, or for the first 120 seconds, because she gives herself 200% arts damage buffs. You have 400% damage up before anyone else's buffs are even applied to Miyu. That is stupid. Not to mention as well, she's a magic damage dealer, so she's able to work with characters like Rin, which is fantastic. That's even more damage up for Miyu. And not only is she just a great damage dealer, like I mentioned before, she's able to work with other human damage dealers. So any other human character on this list that you see that you're going to be nuking with, if you're able to slot in a Miyu in the team as well, you can literally use Miyu there to buff up their damage even more. Definitely one of the better damage dealers we gotten, and the fact that she doesn't rely on crit rate, I think is just such a bonus to this unit, because crit rate is, I feel like, one of the first things they counter in like any fight. If they go to the design of fight, I feel like the first thing they're going to do is like negate crit or give the boss like a lot of crit resist. But Miyu doesn't need crit rate. I mean, she'll definitely, you know, use it if you give her crit rate, but she doesn't need it. She has 100% defense ignore, so who cares? So she doesn't care about all that. As long as a boss isn't immune to dark damage, or isn't immune to magic damage, or has like some crazy human killer, you're perfectly fine with Miyu. She's just gonna deal tons of DPS for you no matter what. Next character, Saber Alter, and I'm gonna say Saber Alter is better than Shaltir, but not better than Gabimaru, and here's the reason for that. Salter only offers damage. She doesn't offer any other type of buff to the team like Gabimaru does. She's literally very selfish. She only does like damage buffs to herself. In terms of DPS, I think she does actually outdamage Gabimaru because she has so much super crit rate. Her multiplier is insanely high, and also her animation lasts for a very long time. And because of the animation lasting for so long and it has so many hits in it, I'm almost positive it out DPSs Gabimaru. The worst part about her is that that's kind of like the extent of it. She's only a DPS character. Not to mention too, how long do we have to wait before we get a character that does like exactly what Saber Alter does, but offers more? Oh wait, we already have that, which is War God Finn. Yuzu is not on global yet, same with Chobei, but they're coming out in a few days. And I will say with Yuzu, if you ignore the art and you look at every other part of the kit, she is fantastic. She has massive amounts of physical res down that she can apply on the super art. She has dark resist downs on the true art along with art shitting for the team, and she also is able to give herself 20 art gauge with the skill and heal herself by 40%. Her slots are pretty good. She also increases all human allies damage by 50% if she's the leader. I like this character. At first I didn't because I just focused a lot on the art. Once you look at the other parts of the kit, you realize, oh wait, she's actually really freaking good. Like, she's really good. And as you see there, that is the list. And if you notice, a lot of these characters are relatively high ranking. Like, even the B tier characters I don't think are necessarily bad. It's just they only offer one thing. I would say most of the Ascended characters they've came out are all fantastic units. Like, you can use pretty much all these characters all the time if you want to. There's not a reason that you wouldn't be able to unless they are just hard countered. As I play more and more in the Ascended era, I'm not saying that I like it more than the Awoken era yet, but I do appreciate a lot of the stuff that I can do with Ascended characters compared to Awoken characters and how much Ascended characters do offer. However, I do say that the worst part about the Ascended era is the lack of content that we have currently. I wish for more challenging and harder content to come to the game to really push these characters to the limit so we can really see how crazy, you know, all these characters can be when they are really getting limit tested, right? But that's gonna be it, man. Thank you all for coming out. It's been your boy P. If you enjoyed this video, highly recommend check out either one of the videos popping on the screen right now. Great content, guarantee you like them. If you want to share your opinion on this tier list or you want to share your opinion on some of the characters here, of course, you know, you can always leave it down below in the comment section. I love reading them. I love talking about it. It's great stuff down there. Keep it civil though, if you can. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this one, man. Thank you all again for coming out. It's been your boy P. And last but not least, you guys already know, don't forget to drink water.